Hi, everybody. Today you are going to learn and review how to write an introduction for an essay. Our goals for today are to review the components or the parts of an introduction, and then you are going to construct an introduction paragraph. To construct the introduction paragraph, you are going to use your graphic organizer that was passed out to you. What we will do with this graphic organizer when you get to the activities is we're actually going to start with the thesis statement and then work our way up. So before we begin, I would like to see what you already know about writing an introduction paragraph. So answer the question on the next activity. Okay, so let's see how much you remember. So what goes in an introduction? In 7th grade, we use the acronym HIT, H-I-T, to remember the parts of an introduction paragraph. The first part of an introduction paragraph is the hook. The hook catches the reader's attention, and we remember that by the letter H. The next one's a little bit of a cheat. The I in HIT stands for background information. So information, but specifically on the background of the topic. So what does the reader need to know about the text or texts in order to understand your essay? The most important part of your introduction, and this will be the last sentence in your introduction paragraph, is the T for thesis statement. This is a sentence that answers the question, explains the most important points of your essay, and outlines the organization of your paper, or your essay, we should say. This is the prompt that you are going to be writing about for your essay. The prompt, follow along with me as I read the prompt. Write a multi-paragraph essay analyzing how conflict impacts the main character's traits and development in the short stories The Smallest Dragon Boy and Thank You, Ma'am. Explain how each character's traits change or become clearer as a result of the challenges they face. Use evidence from both texts to support your analysis. Your response must be based on ideas and information that can be found in the sources. So like I said, on your paper, we are going to start, even though the order of your paragraph will go hook, then information, then thesis statement, we're going to start with the thesis statement because that is what your whole essay will be about. So you need to know what your essay will be about before you do the other parts. So let's go back to that. Last year, you wrote an essay in 6th grade using this prompt. Before we do that, let's go back over a thesis statement. A thesis statement is one sentence, that answers the question, explains the most important points of your essay, and outlines the organization of your paper. The example prompt says, construct a multi-paragraph written response in which you analyze the relationship of the themes found in the excerpt from All Summer in a Day and Wonder. So these were 2 stories you read last year, and we were analyzing the relationship of the themes. So I have the example prompt up here, and then I have the example thesis statement. And I feel like, let's look at this. So for the example prompt, what we want to do, and just anytime you get a prompt, is you want to identify the important words that need to go in your thesis statement. And your thesis statement is basically a topic sentence, but for your entire essay. So in the example prompt, I found that the most important words that I need to include in my thesis statement were relationship, themes, and then the titles of the 2 texts. So below, I have an example thesis statement. And I use those same words and ideas from the prompt in my thesis statement while also giving an answer for the prompt. So I said the themes of the text All Summer in a Day and Wonder are related because they both send a message about being different. So that is my answer, because they both send a message about being different. And notice that I didn't use the exact word relationship, but I used related, and that's okay as long as you're using those same ideas of the words. So now you are going to try it. Before you write a thesis statement, I want you to circle or highlight the words that you think should be included in your thesis statement. So in a second, it will pop up with a slide for you to do that. Once you are done, submit it, and we will see how you did. All right. Oh, apparently I don't have that answer in there. Okay. So let's see how you did. These were the words that I highlighted, and I want you to pause and read the words and see if you highlighted similar words. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is use those words to write your very own thesis statement. It says write a multi-paragraph. Oh, that's already the prompt. We've read it. Okay. So I gave you a sentence starter that you can use, and use a text box to complete the sentence. We already have characters in there, and then the two stories. So you will need to find a way to incorporate conflict, impacts, main character traits, and development in your response. And I want you to think about, did the characters develop by becoming more positive and having more positive character traits in both stories, or more negative? And see if you can incorporate that in your answer. Once you have written a thesis statement, and this is just practice, go ahead and submit your answer so you can see how you did. So I have two options of thesis statements, and there's more than just these options. I want you to check them out, pause the video and read both of them, and see if yours was close to one of mine. And if it was, you can use your own and put it in the thesis statement box at the bottom, or you can use one of mine. So pause the video and decide what you want to write for your thesis statement in your graphic organizer. Once you're done, unpause the video. All right, we are going to move up in the graphic organizer. We're going to move to the I and hit. That's the background information. This helps the reader understand your essay if they haven't read the story. You will want to include a summary sentence of each passage in your background information portion. So I want you in these parts to focus on who, what, and why of each story. You're also going to want to include the author, the title, and the type of text. Is it a short story? Is it an article? Is it a novel? Etc. So I did The Smallest Dragon Boy one for you. And my model says, in the short story, The Smallest Dragon Boy by Anne McCaffrey, Kevin, the youngest and smallest candidate, wants to impress a bronze dragon to prove determination matters more than age and size. So notice I highlighted this Kevin in pink. That shows the who. I highlighted the what in green, and the what is that he wants to impress a bronze dragon. And then why, to prove determination matters more than age and size. So I also included the author, Anne McCaffrey, the title of the story, and notice I put it in quotation marks and capitalized the title, and then what type of text it was, a short story. I want you to pause the video and write this background sentence for The Smallest Dragon Boy in the first background sentence box so right here, summarize passage 1. Oh, and notice that I used in a positive phrase. So in my background, the positive that I used after Kevin was the youngest and smallest candidate, and I put that in commas. So make sure you have all of the correct punctuation in this as well. Okay, now pause the video. Okay, now you are going to write, using that model, you are going to write your very own thank you, ma'am background sentence on your own. So it says, write your background sentence for thank you, ma'am, in the second background sentence box. So underneath where you wrote the Smallest Dragon Boy one, you're going to write your very own thank you, ma'am. It says, use the Smallest Dragon Boy example below as a model. So pause the video and use this example sentence to write. The last part of your, really it's the very first sentence of your essay, but we're coming to this last, we're going from bottom to top, is the hook. The purpose of the hook is to catch the reader's attention. A hook should be short and clear, usually 1 to 2 sentences long. So, there's many types of hooks, but I gave you 3 on the blue side over here, and I want you to try one of them. The first one is a rhetorical question. It's asking the reader a question that makes them think about the topic. So on the top over here, I have an example. Have you ever felt left out or treated differently because you weren't like everyone else? This is an example from that sample prompt that we used about All Summer in a Day in Wonder. The next one is an imagine statement. You're asking the reader to picture a situation connecting to the topic. So imagine waiting for a moment of happiness your whole life only to have others take it away from you. Notice how I started with the word imagine. And then the last one is a universal message hook. So begin with a sentence that shares a big truth, message, or idea about life that connects to the topic. So again, with that question about the prompt about theme, this one was, everyone deserves to be accepted and treated with kindness no matter how different they are. So I want you to pick one hook option, either a question, an imagine statement, or a universal message, and write a hook about the topic of our prompt, which is conflict and how conflict helps people change or grow. Do this in the hook box of your graphic organizer. This must relate to the prompt, and it's the only time you can say you in your essay. So when you do this, you're not going to mention like characters from the story. You're going to keep it to the big idea about the topic. Once you are done with the hook, you are going to type your full paragraph for that you put in each of these boxes into the essay document in Schoology. So the hook will be the first sentence, then the background information will be the next 2 sentences, and then the thesis statement will be your last sentence. And I will check your work when I come back. Okay, thanks.